FIFA will be bringing the World Cup to the USA, and there's just one question on everyone's mind, and that is, who will be the next winner of the FIFA Peace Prize? Yes, President Trump got his Peace Prize from FIFA, the first ever, and he then went on to say that we should change the name of American football. We should call it soccer now. I mean, we should call soccer football and then change the name of football. What was he talking about? What am I talking about? What are we going to do with soccer? Is that going to be the new name for someone who finds lost socks at all the laundromats? He's our soccer. I don't know what a day off is. I need a day off. I don't know what it is, but I need one. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish have sent a letter to the NCAA declining any invitations to any bowl games here in the postseason. I guess because they weren't invited to the college football playoffs. Well, now that is an upstanding organization. You know, they figured they weren't good enough for the playoffs. How could they be good enough for a bowl game? You know, I'm not going to ask you to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, or even share this video. No. I'm just going to appeal to anyone out there who is hiring for a sportscaster or color commentary. You know, I'm available. Right. And like Tupac, I ain't hard to find. By the way, I make a killer cup of coffee and I love to talk sports. I really have to retire from my manual labor job. I'm just a frail man with few physical graces. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish were left out of the college football playoffs this year. We'll talk a little bit about that. The Rams looking to stay the number one team in the NFC. I mean, they're looking tough. This week they've got a big task against the Lions. And, of course, I hate to say I told you so, but the Indiana Hoosiers did indeed upset the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Big Ten championship game. We called it here. That was an amazing game. Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback, surely will be the Heisman winner this year. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a few more things here. But let's get into the Pick Six. All right, before we get into the Pick Six, I am actually going to ask you to like and subscribe if you do like this video. It helps with the algorithm. You guys are great, and I do appreciate your support. Time to get into the Pick Six. This week, we're doing a hockey game. All you hockey fans out there, this is your week. And that's because the NFL is a little weak this week. Yeah, not too many good games. There's a lot of games where there's a winning team and a team with a losing record. We're going to do nothing but games with teams who have winning records. Now, first, we're going to kick it off with the LA Bowl presented by Gronk at SoFi. Yes, this is going to be a cool game to watch. You've got Washington and Boise State. Washington is 8-4. Boise State is 9-4. Boise State out in the Mountain West Division or Conference. It's going to be on ABC Saturday night at 5 p.m. or evening. That's going to be 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Now, the Washington Huskies are a 9.5-point favorite, but the money has moved things a little in favor of Boise State this week. Boise State has a proud tradition of winning in big bowl games. The Broncos are indeed a tough team, always have been, going way back. I'm going to pick them to upset the Huskies this week. Yes, the Broncos, Boise State will upset the Washington Huskies. It's going to be 26-24. That is 50 points, which is putting us at the under because they're giving us 52.5. Look, I'm going to enjoy watching the game. You got Gronk presenting the LA Bowl. Think about that. LA's got a bowl now at SoFi in my hometown of Inglewood. Yeah. You know, we'll get into all that a little bit later, but for now, let's just say we're picking Boise State 26-24, and that is the under. All right, moving on, we've got the Bills at Patriots. The Patriots are 11-2, everybody. This is not an expected season result for them, but they came in with Drake May. They came in with just a whole rebuild, you know. You talk about reloading. The Patriots are just, it seems like they're just coming off their great dynasty run, and they're back. We're going to pick them to beat the Bills 35-17. The Bills are 1-point favorite in this game. I don't know why. The Patriots are tough. 49.5 points. So this is the under. This is the over. 35-17. Patriots over the Bills. Next we have the Rams hosting the Lions. Like I said, this is going to be a big game. And on this show, I always, as a rule, tend to not pick my favorite teams. And you'll find that out when we get to the hockey pick, too. I tend to favor, to err in favor of not picking my home team. And we're going to continue that here, picking the Lions to beat the Rams 36-28. That's the over because they're giving us 55 points. The Rams are 10-3. They're looking dominant. They're looking very strong. The Lions, 8-5, have been staying up there. Them, the Eagles, the Rams. It's shaping up to be your typical end of season result for the NFC. The cream always seems to rise to the top. We're going to pick again the Lions to beat the Rams 36-28. The Rams are 6-point favorites, but again, we're picking the Lions to win outright. Seahawks are hosting the Colts this week, and the Seahawks are being given, they're 13.5-point favorites. All right. I don't think they're going to cover. It seems to me like a lot of points. So we're going to go with 27-24, the Seahawks over the Colts. It's going to be the over, 42.5 points. What's weird about this game is that the money line seems to be the same on both of these teams. The Colts and the Seahawks both have a money line of minus 110, which means it costs you $110 to make 100. It's very interesting because the Boise State game is something else. Boise State, if you win there on the money line, it's something like 275, or maybe now that they moved it down to 250. If you bet $100, you get 250. That's almost quadrupling your money, because if you bet $100 and you win 250, now you have 350, which is almost 400, which is almost 4 times your original 100. I'm learning math. All right, next we have, again, the Seahawks are going to beat the Colts 27-24. I think the Colts are having problems at quarterback still. That might be why they're, the Seahawks are given 13.5 point favorite status. 0.5. The Broncos, next at Mile High, are hosting the Packers. Now, I've loved the Packers all season long and for the last couple of seasons. Jordan Love has been tremendous. His team has been moving in the right direction. This week they lose 28-10. I think it's going to be the under. I don't think either team is going to have the lungs to go over the 43.5 they're giving us on this. The Packers are 2.5-point favorites, but the Broncos are a very tough team. And I rarely choose them, so I'm going to choose them this week. 28-10, Broncos over the Packers. All right, lastly, we've got the hockey game. Yes, NHL, we're picking hockey. Yes, H-E-double-L, H-E-double hockey sticks. It's a very old reference. The Stars, the Dallas Stars, I believe they are. Or is it the Minnesota Stars? Or, I'm really bad with this. I need to learn my hockey. The Stars are hosting the Kings. The LA Kings are my hometown team. Again, I'm going with my rule that I don't tend to pick my favorite teams when I'm picking here. So I'm going to pick the Stars, which they're favored anyway, 1.5-point favorites, around 1.5-point favorites. The thing about this is that different sports books disagree on the odds, and I think it's that way all around. But the average is that the Stars are going to be 1.5-point favorites, and the over-under is going to be 5.5 to 6 goals scored. We're going to say Stars win 3-2, putting us at under. All right. Stars, I'm going to watch this game. It's on Monday night at 5 p.m., everybody. Okay. That's our pick six for this week. Thank you very much for listening. Again, gamble responsibly, but enjoy this weekend's games. You might be wondering why we spend so much, or why I spend so much time on this show talking about college football. It's because college football is exciting. College football is amazing. If you've been watching this week, even just slightly, you'll know that the Indiana Hoosiers are the story of the season, and maybe for the past few years. The biggest story in college football. Coming up to now being ranked number one in all the polls, the AP undoubtedly. And they beat the Ohio State Buckeyes, who were considered by many to be the juggernaut this season. Excuse me. I, of course, picked the Hoosiers to beat them, and they did. But, of course, I also picked them to beat the Ducks earlier in the season, and they did at Austin Stadium with that crowd being silenced. Coach Cignetti, I think, is my favorite coach in years watching college football. I used to be a big fan of Pete Carroll because I'm a USC fan. Excuse me, I didn't mean to kick you. Of course, Pete Carroll now coaching for the hapless Las Vegas Raiders. Don't know what's going to happen there. Boy, we're a long way from just win, baby. I'm rooting for them. I hope the Raiders can pull it together. I really do. Let's see. The Hoosiers, they're gonna have a very tough playoff run this season, despite being as tough as they are. But I have faith in them because of Coach Cignetti. Again, this guy's a master of motivating people, of talking on camera. He doesn't say a lot of words, but what he says really hits home. I remember covering this earlier in the year when we were talking about, we weren't even a sports show back then. We were talking about him anyway. No, I think we were talking about it when we were a sports show already. Sorry. But when they beat the Ducks, I remember the commentator asking him after the game, Coach, you guys are 0-9 coming in against top 20 teams or whatever. And he kind of rolled his eyes to look at the guy like, wow, that's a heck of a stat. Yeah, exactly. It's like he was telling him, hey, you guys are terrible. How do you feel about winning finally? And then, he made the comment after they won the Big Ten title that, you think you got trouble staying motivated. I got to keep these guys hungry and humble were his exact words. Hungry and humble for the college football playoffs. He's a great coach, Coach Cignetti, is what I'm saying. I'm a big fan of the Hoosiers already, just because of this season. Fernando Mendoza, what poise in the pocket. I mean, how many times was he even allowed to stand in the pocket? I mean, the guy escapes and finds the receiver, or he throws it into the crowd. That's exactly what you want your quarterback to do. That's why he is the leading candidate for Heisman Trophy winner this season. Give it to him now. Basically. Ohio State, I feel bad for them. They did everything they could, but you can't stop history. This is a historical team. It really is. It's a historic team. Enough about that. I can't wait for the college football playoffs. It's going to be a battle royal for sure. The Rams continue again their winning ways. This week we're picking the Lions on the pick six, but if they don't win, I'm not going to be upset about the whole thing because, again, that's my favorite team. And I want to go for a second now away from football and apologize to the LA Clippers. I've been a little harsh on the Clippers. The Fools sip. Yes. The reason is because, they're in my hometown now. I was born in Inglewood, California. Centinela Hospital. That used to be the official hospital of the Dodgers and the Lakers. Tommy Lasorda, the manager of the Dodgers. I've been a sports fan all my life. And, Clippers come into town. It's always been a Lakers town, really, because of the Great Western Forum. And, I've never been a Clippers fan, but you know what? They deserve better treatment than that. And so we're going to go ahead and apologize. We're not going to take cheap shots at the Clippers anymore. And that's that. So Um, what else were we going to talk about here? We had a couple of things we wanted to talk about. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, them declining any college bowl games because of the fact that they were not invited to the college football playoffs game is, I think, to me, a bit of a. And we're going to talk, and we are ending this show talking about college football. So if you want to click away now, go ahead. I'm sorry. If you're a pro football fan or anything. But college football is important. And we're going to go ahead and talk about the Fighting Irish, and we're going to talk about the LA Bowl, which is being held at SoFi to finish the show. So the Fighting Irish declining any invitation, any would-be invitation to a bowl game, I believe is a little bit unfair of the Fighting Irish. They're depriving another team of the chance to face them and get that kind of a media coverage in whatever bowl game that they would be facing in. I think the Fighting Irish, had they been invited to the college football playoffs, they would have gone and competed in the college football playoffs. Would they have not? So, having said that, why now do you just take your marbles and go home after you were not deemed having won enough games or beaten enough top-ranked opponents, etc., to make it to the college football playoffs? Well, listen, I understand the system it's not good. Going all the way back to the BCS, and even before then, when they were going on the AP poll, when they were doing USA Today and AP poll and going based on these rankings, back when they were doing that was better than what the BCS eventually became, because the BCS seemed to be nothing but a vehicle for the Southeastern Conference, really, is what it looked like to me. Because the whole BCS era was dominated by LSU, by Alabama, and yeah, they had great teams. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think they were so dominant that they were way better than, your Midwestern top teams or your Pacific, especially not your California top football teams. Traditionally, there's been California, Florida, and Texas are the top three states when it comes to college football. When it comes to prospects, when they bring them in to the colleges from high school, California, Texas, and Florida. And, California pulls its weight. I got to tell you, the Central Valley, California, very famous for producing a lot of top athletes. But I say the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, I do get off the point a lot, don't I? They should not have declined a bowl game berth because, again, they're depriving another university the opportunity to face the Fighting Irish and have all that TV exposure, the perks that come with that. And if you're going to be, I know the Notre Dame Fighting Irish like to set themselves aside and apart from the rest of the college football community because they're their own network, as people like to say. There are certain commentators who I'm a big fan of. I was listening to Mike Francesa the other day, and he was talking about the Fighting Irish. They are their own network. Don't get me wrong. The Fighting Irish are tremendous. They're like a New York Yankees. They're like all the top teams that you can think of. But they are a college football team. I think it would be more beneficial for them to actually join instead of being this sort of oddball, this sort of offset to the rest, Anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth on that. But go Fighting Irish. I've always been a huge fan. Newt Rockne. I know all the stories that go all the way back to Newt Rockne, who, rest in peace, passed away in a plane crash. He was the originator of, I believe it was the sweep. I believe. Either way, he was a great coach back in the days. Swedish American, immigrant. I do say a lot also. I'll try to work on that. I apologize. Let's see. So next, we're going to end the show talking about the SoFi hosting the LA Bowl, hosted by Gronk. Gronk's a cool guy. What a way to kick off the LA Bowl this year than having Gronk, fall down drunk. Gronk is drunk. Anyway. It's going to be a cool game. SoFi Stadium is an amazing place. I watched the place literally go from dirt to this amazing construct right there where I was born, in that place. It's an amazing place. I love it. The NFL headquarters is there now. Inglewood really has become, a big sports center. They have the Clippers. They have the Rams, the Chargers. Unfortunately, I don't believe they have the Lakers anymore because that's still at Staples. Am I right? Anyway, the SoFi Bowl is going to be interesting because you got Boise State, you've got Washington Huskies, DeMond Williams, I believe his name is, Williams Jr., the quarterback for the Huskies, expected to play very well. Maddox Madden, I believe his name is, the quarterback for Boise State. Correct me if I'm wrong there in the comments. Looking to have a tremendous performance. The over-under has been moved. They're expecting a big offensive performance. So they moved it up by half a point or something like that. Boise State, like I said, they're incredible when you watch them in bowl games, okay? When they beat, I believe it was the Oklahoma Sooners way, way back. I'm talking 2001, 2002, 2003-ish. Not sure exactly when, but I remember back then I was big into Kansas State Wildcats college football, and especially USC, of course. But I was watching that bowl game when the guy proposed to his cheerleader girlfriend. I forget the guy's name. He was like a wide receiver for Boise State. I should probably research it. You know what? I have a tablet. I'm sorry. Boise State proposal bowl game. Half the battle nowadays is knowing how to search, how to prompt. The famous Boise State proposal happened after the 2007 Fiesta Bowl. Boy, I was way off on the years. It was like 4 years. Anyway, where running back, I was off on the position. Where running back Ian Johnson proposed to his cheerleader girlfriend, Chrissy Papadix. I'm just reading her last name, okay? Chrissy Papadix. Or Popadix. Popadix sounds better. On national TV, after Boise State's stunning overtime win against Oklahoma, completing a perfect season with a trick play. Oh, I remember that. It was a Statue of Liberty play, wasn't it? The 2-point conversion. Yeah, it was one of football's most iconic moments, with Johnson getting down on one knee during a post-game interview with Fox Sports. That's right. I believe that was the Statue of Liberty play. I mean, it was incredible. You guys enjoy the LA Bowl this Saturday. Enjoy all your hockey going on this weekend. It's starting to get to the point where we're going to have to start talking about basketball and hockey more, right? Yeah. Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope to have good picks for you this week, and you guys enjoy all your games and try to get some rest. Let's try to get some rest this weekend. Snuggle up. It's winter.